Hello, I'm Kara, and this is my first live yoga class on YouTube, so welcome. I call it Imperfect Yoga because our lives aren't perfect, and yoga is helpful to just let you roll with the punches. And so that's my goal, is to not edit out when I lose my balance or when I sneeze or anything like that, because that's part of life and that's part of joys and beauty of it as well. So please join me. And if there's anything that doesn't feel right to your body, please skip it. And feel free to ask. I'll get to your comments after the class, answer any questions, or help you out with anything, any adjustments that you feel you might like to make to your practice. So traditionally, our yoga practice starts with a pranayama, i.e. a breath or energy practice. So we are going to start with a very simple one in our mind. We're going to think of counting to 3 as we inhale, counting to 3 as we exhale. So inhaling 1, 2, 3. Exhaling 1, 2, 3. Continue on at your own pace. And come back to the natural breath. We'll start to roll our shoulders. Bring your hands to your shoulders. We will circle our elbows. And then full arm circles like you're doing the backstroke. Feel free to rotate through the torso if that's right for you. And then go ahead and hold it back here. We're going to turn and look over the back shoulder. Find that big rotation. And unwind. We'll take over the other side. And bring it back to center. All right, we're going to strengthen our rotator cuffs by pulling our elbows in as close to our ribs as we can get them, with the shoulders low. With the palms up, we're going to cross the hands in front and then open them as far as we can to the back. And alternate which hand goes on top. Really feel those shoulder blades squeeze down and back behind you to open those hands. And then we'll take one arm up and over. And for right now, we're going to focus on stretching the low waist here. So keep your buttock down on the ground and reach away with your torso as much as you can. And then bring that stretch higher up the side by thinking of lifting your armpit to the sky. And bring it back down. We'll take the other side. Reach in such a way as to stretch the low waist. Buttock stays on the floor. And then push up, lifting the armpit towards the sky. And let it go. We're going to take one leg up in front, wiggle, roll the foot, toes. And then stretch the leg straight out in front of you. So my hips and my belly button are all going to reach right out over this foot. So I'm not really worried about getting my nose to my knee or anything like that right now. I'm more thinking of pulling my navel towards my knee. Obviously, it's not going to touch. It's just going in that direction. And then go ahead and let yourself round over the top of the leg. Bring it on up. We'll switch sides. So second leg straight out in front of you. This leg's going to be pulled into the side. Navel towards the knee. Go ahead and roll out that foot and ankle real quick. And navel pulls towards the knee. And then allow yourself to round over the leg. All right, let's bring ourselves up to hands and knees. We're going to do a cat-cow. So our cat is here, tucked tail, navel pressing up towards the spine, hands actively pressing down. And try this starfish shape with your fingers. Press down through every knuckle of every finger. Really push down. And then the opposite is our cow. Our heart lifts, our tail lifts, our navel drops. Take a deep breath in here and feel that abdominal stretch. We'll bring it back and forth. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. Nice. Go ahead and walk your knees back just a few inches. press your heels back towards your hips. We call this child's pose. Feel a lengthening of your arms, your spine, especially that low spine lengthening out. Bring the weight forward. And you can either bring your hands or your weight just over your wrists, or you can bend your elbows backwards, back towards your knees, and shift your weight over your hands. Now, that does put a lot more weight on the wrists, so to counteract that, we use those starfish hands where we actively press down through the knuckles of the fingers. And that'll help disperse the weight away from your wrists. Press it back, child's pose. And forward as far as is right for you. We'll take it back and forth with your own breath. Excellent. This time, let's stay back in our child's pose. And we're going to take the knees as wide as they'll go. Let your belly button drop closer to the floor. Let your chest get close to the floor. If your chest is on the floor and you feel like there's no real comfortable place to put your face, if it's all right with your neck, you can actually rest your chin on the floor instead of your forehead. Bring your hands over to one side. And on the other side. Back to the center. Let's come up on our elbows. Put the balls of your feet on the floor. And we're going to press our knees off the ground. And we're going to push back to stretch out our calves, our heels, the bottoms of our feet. Bring the knees back down. We're going to come up to our hands. Again, get those starfish hands where we're pressing down, fingers stretched out. Bring your knees off the floor again and walk it out. Now, as we think of lifting our tail towards the ceiling and pressing the floor away with our hands, we find ourselves in this downward facing dog position. Let your arms be long and your neck be long. So don't shrug your shoulders. Let yourself have a long neck. And eventually we're going to start to walk our feet forwards. Tiny little steps, couple inches at a time. At some point you might have to come up higher on your hands or bend your knees a little more. Maybe they don't go straight all the way. But we're going to end up here in a forward fold. Hang out. Right here. Soften the knees, so bend them just slightly. And I'm going to give you two different ways to stand up. One is to roll up one vertebrae at a time. If that doesn't work for you for whatever reason, I'm a fan of flat back. So bending the knees, flat back, coming up here. But we're all going to go ahead and meet standing at the top with our hands overhead and our shoulders low. Exhale, swan dive back down to the floor. And then half lift. So half of our body is going to stick straight out like a shelf from the wall, where we're going to engage these muscles all the way around the core to help hold us up. And the hands can touch wherever they want to or not at all, if you feel like you've got the strength to hold it all together here. Exhale, come back down to your forward fold. You probably notice that you're getting a little bit closer to the ground than you were before in this position. Soften the knees, make your way to standing up, whatever way is most comfortable for you. And then bring the hands down to heart space, palms together. Put a little pressure between the palms and feel how that engages the shoulder girdle, pulling it down. Inhale, we'll take the arms back up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, half lift. Exhale, down. Now take your right leg out back behind you. We call this low lunge. So left leg is in front, knee is over heel, other leg is way back there as far as it'll get, and I've got my leg very, very straight, pressing energy through my back heel. My spine is long. So if you're finding yourself having to round into this because you don't have the hamstring length just yet, a great way to work on that is to have blocks or books or something like that under your hands so you can still have this engaged spine. Let's step it back to plank. Two options, plank from your toes or plank from your knees. We're going to play with pushing our weight over our hands again, elbows reaching back. And then tail in the air, downward facing dog. Reach those heels towards the floor. Push the floor away with your fingertips. Slowly walk your feet forward. Go ahead and let your hips swivel as you do this. It's going to calm the nervous system so that your hamstrings can go just a little bit further. And you can even, after your feet are all the way up here, you can keep swiveling those hips if you want to. All right, let them come to stillness and bring yourself up. Hands to heart space. Feel the ground beneath your feet, palms against each other. Lengthen all the way up through the body. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan dive down to those toes. Breathe in, half lift. Exhale, back down. Right leg steps back this time, low lunge. Step back to a plank, either toes or knees. Press your weight forward, elbows go backwards. And then press your tail into the air, downward facing dog. Start to walk those feet forward. Breathe in, come all the way up to standing. And hands to heart space. Find that length of the body. Feel the center, the midline of the body. So right up. Feel the whole body pulling into that center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And back down. Left leg steps back. And the right. We'll push our weight forward. Remember, you can be on your toes or your knees. And then lift the tail. Press the weight back, downward facing dog. We're going to do something a little bit different this time. We're going to lift our right leg up behind us. And you'll notice at some point your leg doesn't want to go any further. And so you lift your right hip to go further. We're going to skip the lifted hip. So only go as high as you can without lifting the hip. It might help to think of making your foot a little pigeon toe. So rotate your foot towards the big toe, and that'll keep you from being able to rotate your hips so easily. And then bring that right knee towards your nose, as close as you can get it. Feel that cat position where our navel is going up towards our spine. Lean your weight forward over your hands and set the foot down as close to between your hands as you can. Oftentimes that's back here. Go ahead and help it up. Lengthen the spine. Press your weight onto the front foot and step together, forward fold. Inhale, bring it up, arms high overhead. Feel the length of your body. And hands down to heart space. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And back down. Left leg steps back. And right steps back. From your toes or your knees, press your weight over your hands. My shoulders are down away from my ears, and then I'm going to press my tail up into the air and back. Lift the left foot as high as it will go without lifting the hip. Your right heel is still reaching to the ground, so we have this pull from one heel to the other. And bring the knee as close to the nose as you can. Press your weight over your hands and step the foot down as close to between the hands as possible. Wiggle it on up the rest of the way. Press your weight over the front foot and step together. Inhale, bring those arms up. Hands to heart space. Take a big step to the side. Now my feet are kind of out at diagonals, and when I bend my knees are going to go in line with my feet. That's important for the health of your knees. Let's see how low we can go while keeping your torso upright. So imagine that you're back against a wall and you want to keep your back touching the wall the entire time. Excellent. Now let's play with our toes. Lift one heel and then the other, maybe both. You might notice that it's very challenging to keep them straight up and down. They try to roll different angles. Please be very careful with that. Don't go any further than you think you can control. You can make it short lengths of time that you're up there. All right, now let's add them together. We'll drop down into our squat. Let's lift up a heel and then the other. Maybe you try both. Maybe you'd go back to one after the other. Keeping those ankles straight and back down. Lengthen the legs. Take the arms up high overhead. We're going to reach them out wide as we stick out our tail. Wide leg forward fold. Let yourself literally hang out here. Your head is reaching towards the ground. Your tail is tilting towards the sky. Soften the knees, flat back or rounded back your way up. And if this is really challenging, you can always use your hands to help. All right, if your heels went out wide, that's okay. Bring them back in so that when we bend our knees, we're pointing out over the toes again. And again, we're going to play with those heels off the ground. Set the heels down, lengthen the legs. Take the arms up overhead. Tail back, head towards the floor. All right, now we're going to reach over towards one leg. For me, that means that I need to turn my toe out a little bit further to make it okay for my ankle and knee. Get really cozy with that leg. Pressing my hip in the opposite direction. Bring it back to the middle. And the other side. Bring yourself back to the middle. Bend the knees. Make your way up, flat back or round back. We'll take the hands up and then out. Imagine that you're holding platters in your hands and they are heavy. Feel it drop your shoulders. They are heavy. And I want you to feel your thumbs reaching behind you, just like when we were doing these. Thumbs are reaching a little bit behind and our elbows are actually pulling a little bit in front this time so that we're really engaging that shoulder girdle in a way that we don't often. Now, one of the things I notice is that oftentimes when we do this kind of movement, we tend to come here so that the movement is from the spine as opposed to the shoulder. Let's make sure that we're holding our low belly in. We've got that engaged. And then we're pulling the thumbs back and the elbows a little bit forward. Go ahead and bend down into those knees. And then I want you to lift one hip. Lift one hip and drop the armpit towards it. Feel a crunch. You'll feel it even deeper if you take a big exhale. Inhale, come back up. Level out the hips and shoulders. We're going to head the other direction. Lift that hip. Drop the armpit. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Check those shoulders. Exhale. Inhale. 5-pointed star. We're going to lengthen out the arms and the legs in opposite directions. Feel the stretch out the fingertips. Maybe lift those heels off the ground again. And let it down. Then roll back your shoulders. We're going to throw in a balancing move here. This isn't a yoga pose per se, but I really, really like it for helping us keep our balance, especially as we're entering into an icy world out there that's very slippery. So we're going to put our weight on our right leg, reach out to our left leg. My weight's over here now, and I'm going to push back and have to balance. Okay, so that's not where I decided, say that ground is slippery, more slippery or more squishy than I wanted it to be. And I changed my mind. I want to be back over here. Now let's try it to the front. You can make this as easy or as hard as you want based on how big a step you take and how hard you push off. Let's switch sides. We'll start to the side. There you go. The idea here is just to bring it in and have control. We'll go to the front. If you feel like you would like to make this part of your daily routine, but it seems a little scary, do it in a hallway or in a door frame where you can use your hands as backup assistance if you push a little bit too hard and find your boundaries for the day leg wise. All right, go ahead and wiggle that all out. We'll take our arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Hang out. Let yourself feel your full range of motion here. Navel reaching towards your thighs, tail reaching to the sky, heels pressing into the floor. Neck and shoulders relaxed. And let it go. We're going to bring our hips down towards our heels and have a seat. All right, we'll take our knees out to the sides, soles of our feet towards each other. Go ahead and grab onto your ankles or feet. And think of pulling your navel towards your feet. I'm doing this by using my biceps to pull, and my spine is staying long, so I'm not turning into a gorilla. You might notice that my knees stay quite high. Yours might go much lower. That is going to be the goal, and maybe your elbows can assist. And then go ahead and round the forehead towards the toes. Bring it on up. We're going to cross the right ankle in front of the left. Lengthen out the spine and try to drop your belly button over your ankles. Now, maybe your knees don't like this. If that's the case, instead of having your feet quite close, stretch them out a little bit further in front until you can feel more comfortable in that. But the goal is going to be to get your navel as snugly in your lap as you can, with your rump still on the floor. One of the things I love about yoga is that it asks you to be comfortable and stable within each pose. If you've heard the words for the names for these poses, they often end in asana. Asana is often translated into pose, but that's not the full meaning. The full meaning is comfort and stability within the seat. So I want you to think about, as you're getting into some of these, what might be deep stretches for you, finding comfort and stability within them. There's always that balance of growing and pushing your edges and being able to get in deeper. And that might be a little bit uncomfortable or have that stretching, pulling, or even prickly feeling. I encourage you to know your body and be able to decipher what is a productive stretch sensation and what is a harmful stretch sensation. So that as we're moving through here, you're finding comfort and stability, which is the whole point of yoga. Make your way back up to sitting tall. Open up the chest. We're going to switch legs. I encourage you to wiggle and get some blood flow in there as we put the left ankle in front this time. For most of us right-handed people, this one will feel a little awkward. That's okay though. We're going to lean forward into it. Once you've found your full range of motion, you feel that little pull sensation. One way to get deeper into the pose or let your body know that you're okay in this pose is to come back to the breathing exercise that we did in the very beginning. Counting 1, 2, 3 for your inhale, and 1, 2, 3 for your exhale. Continue on at your own pace. Take your last deep breath here. And make your way up to sitting. Roll those shoulders back and reach for your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers and lengthen your arms down away. Roll those shoulders back. So if straightening your arms means you have to roll your shoulders forward, then don't lengthen your arms all the way. Just take them as far back as you can with the shoulders rolled down and back. And release. Get some blood flow down there. And I want to teach you one of my favorite neck stretches, which helps this whole area. We're going to lift one ear towards the ceiling and nod yes. So it's just like we're nodding our head yes here, that full range of motion, but we're taking it to the side. Take it slow. And then still over here on the side, we're going to shake our head no. So that's nose towards the shoulder, nose towards the sky. Take it slowly. And back to the center. Roll your shoulders back a couple of times. And we'll take it to the other side. We'll nod yes. Full range of motion that feels safe to your neck. Nice and slow. Change it to shaking your head no. And bring it up. All right. Make your way to lying on your back. I encourage you to take any wiggles, squirms, stretches that feel good right now. And then settle into what we call Shavasana, our relaxation pose at the end of practice. This is seen oftentimes as the most challenging and most important pose. We're going to lie down on our back with our legs a comfortable distance apart, our arms palm up, a little way off to the side. If you need a bolster under your knees or under your head or a blanket or something like that, now's time to grab it. I'm going to grab my sweater. But find yourself a comfortable place on the floor to breathe. And the reason this is often seen as the most challenging pose is because it's about the mind, finding comfort and stability within the thoughts. So for today, we're going to focus on our breathing. That 1, 2, 3 in, and 1, 2, 3 out. And if anything else comes to play in your mind, when you notice it's there, I encourage you to invite it to leave. You'll catch up with it later. And return to your 1, 2, 3 inhale. And your 1, 2, 3 exhale. Now return your awareness to the room that you're in. And start to move and stretch the body, like waking up from a deep sleep. Make your way over to one side. And then up to sitting. We'll return our hands to heart space. And bring your thoughts to a sense of gratitude, maybe for something in particular, or maybe just the general sensation of gratitude. Together, we'll take a deep breath in and out. And on the exhale, I invite you to Om along with me. As we talked about before, there are some things that help calm the nervous system, and that vibration calms, in particular, the vagal nerve. We're going to take a deep breath in now. Thank you. We'll do this class every Tuesday and Thursday at 10:30. If you're interested in joining on a regular basis, let me know, because they won't all be live. Many of them are recorded and put on later, but you can join us live right over here so I can see what you're doing too, in case you have any questions along the way. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining the weirdness today. Appreciate it. Bye.